see how we go. So it says fetching video stream. It can take a few seconds. This is already further than what I got the other day. So that's giving me hope.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay. I think
we're streaming
good.
live.
Yes, it's telling me we're good. Excellent. Wow, you guys, I'm so excited today to introduce our next guest. More also because the tech is working. Woo! I'm so happy. So everyone, welcome to the Common Sense Practice Collaboration Corner. Today we have the awesome Dr. Laurence Tham. He has been everywhere. So he's the co-founder and director of the Nitro Coaching Group. You can find him at laurencetam.com. He has previously found and hosted the Wellness Guys podcast in the Wellness Couch podcast network. So we are so happy to have you today. We are so looking forward to your thoughts. And if you guys have questions, please pop them into the messages because I'm taking a look at that as well. So welcome, Dr. Laurence.
I'm as excited to get a call from you, and thanks for having me on, and hope that I can be of service for anybody out there right now.
Yeah, thank you. So I've been following some of the trainings and sort of support you've been giving doctors throughout the world, really, Australia, US, Europe. And the thing I'm finding the most common in the theme is we need to be calm. We need to be ahead of the curve. And the strategies that you're really sharing, I find are fantastic. So I'm going to let you take it away.
Sure. I mean, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And you gotta, we have to stay calm. And because really for me, most of my coaching is revolves around mindset first. Of course, the strategy and the tactics is really important, but what ultimately is that what you got to do is you have to have the right mindset, because the mindset dictates everything. Because if you're in fear and panic stage, you can't actually action anything. You can't behave accordingly. You can't make decisive decisions. We all know this. When we're in anger or frustration or grief, you're going to make irrational decisions because you're going to make it from your limbic or your lizard brain. And in that sense, so like you're going to make very poor choices. And so what we got to do is we got to really figure out is kind of reduce our lizard brain talk and move ourselves into more logical brain. And I think that the best thing for us to do right now, the best analogy I can give you is sort of, you live in Singapore, so you have the Formula One there. And, when you think about in Singapore, especially those streets, it's a lot of corners. And one Formula One is that, in a straight away, like if it's a long straightaway, it's about the person who works harder and faster that will get past another car. However, when it comes to corners, it's nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with skills. And so we are coming to a corner, whether you like it or not. We're already in it. Some countries are already in the middle of the corner. Some of us are like bracing ourselves, already coming to the corner. And I think there's three specific things. Number one is you need to put the brakes on before you hit the corner, right? That's the most important thing. You don't want to brake at the corner. You got to brake before the corner. And that is what I call the protection phase. So most of you already have been doing this like several weeks ago, or a couple of weeks ago at least. And it obviously country depending. I have clients in the US and Europe and also in Australia. So I have like different countries and different clients doing different things, but you should have been braking a long time ago and protecting. And the protecting means that it's about protecting yourself, making sure your family's taken care of over the next few months, because we don't know how long it's going to last for. We want to protect your business, because without your business, you can't survive and you can't provide as well. And then you come to your staff and then your clients. But remember, your staff doesn't have a job if you don't have a business to be there, and the business can't be there if you're not protected. So therefore, we just got to make sure we do it in the right order. So that's the first thing. So you brake. That's what a car does. You brake before you hit the corner. Once you hit the corner, it's about turning a really sharp turn. That's the pivot. That's what we have to learn as business owners, as chiropractors. If you're still preaching or talking about the same message that you did 3 weeks ago, you're doing this wrong. The world has absolutely been changed. It's pivoted, like it's on a hard reset in the whole entire world. Okay. Not just in Asia, not just in America, like it's a freaking hard reset. So which means you have to pivot hard. And so which means that pivoting in our business is about what are like 2 or 3 things we need to stay focused on. What are 2 or 3 we can take advantage of? What are 2 or 3 opportunities that we need to kind of solve here, or that we can actually work on to help us come out of this reentry, right? I want to call it reentry because we will come out of this. It's just a matter of when. And I can't predict. I don't want to predict because, you know, anybody who predicts is wrong. And I think they're just guessing. So we can make some plans around that. I will talk a little bit about that, but then pivoting to those three particular things and then focusing on that during this period of time, because this is not a 3-month holiday, guys, right?
Yeah.
Because the 3-month holiday people are like, they're the ones who are turning in the corner and they're on the sidelines, right? They're going to start from zero. But if you're smart enough, you can actually pivot hard. And then the third thing is accelerate as quickly as possible and come out of the corner, right? Before anybody else. And that's how you can profit from this. And I mean, I don't mean to profit like from a money perspective, profit from it because you're creating massive amounts of value and positioning that will allow you to come out of this stronger than you were 3 weeks ago. Okay. So that's sort of my sort of theory on this.
Now that, I mean, it makes sense. And to a lot of us listening, we think, okay, that's great. What do I do? Because some people I don't even think are ahead enough in the business that, let's say, a 1 week break would have been okay, or even 1 month. So if it is 3 months, I can see this taking a lot of people out, not financially, but even mentally.
It is. And this is where there's a graph that I've done, and I'm happy to share it here if you want me to do it on video. But one of the key elements is, so you let me know what you want me to do.
Sure.
But there's basically, it's you got to understand that there's a sort of a movement in a sense of sort of where we need to be. So let me just kind of, I'll quickly share my screen, and then
I would love it.
And so for those people who can sort of see this. So what ends up happening is that we got to realize is that there are different elements of emotions. Okay. So I call it the 5 stages of emotions. And so we got to respect, and this is the same, this is for you as a chiropractor, and that's also for you if you're dealing with patients, which is all of us, right? So what we got to understand is respect that there's an emotional, sorry, let me just do this in the right color so that we have this. There's an emotional response, okay, that everybody's going through. And there's a specific response for that particular emotion, because what you don't want to do is respond to an emotion that respond with, like, say, stretches and exercise to someone who is in anxiety, because someone's in anxiety, they don't need more stretches. Right? they're not even listening to you. So let's not do that. So let me go through this. So you got anxiety is the first one, right? So we're all in anxiety, and then that's like sort of that lead of the panic, right? And so what happens there is that what we should be doing, the most appropriate response right there is you need to communicate. Okay. And no matter where you are in the world, during the state of anxiety, what you'll see is ministers and presidents of each countries, or ministers, or governors, or whoever, they're all getting on board every single day, telling you information. Why? Because they realize that everybody's in a state of anxiety. They need to over communicate, right? So that's why you see their faces over and over again in your news cycles, because they need to over communicate. And that's the same thing for you. If your patients are there, you need to over communicate to them so that you can actually help them. Okay. So I hope that makes sense. The second phase is usually we get into a state of anger, right? Or, usually it's sort of in that period of grief, right? In that state, patients don't need more like back stretches or here's some exercise to help you to do. Right? When they're in anger, what they really need, right? What they really need is emotional support. Yeah. Okay. This is when you need to maybe make a phone call, connect with them and go, hey, how are you doing? How can I help you? How can I serve you right now? Like, just be there as a human being. Like, oftentimes we get caught up as like, oh, we're a chiropractor. That's out, what can we do outside of our hands? Well, there's a ton of things you can do, because you're not defined just by a chiropractor. Chiropractor is just one thing that you do, right? We're a human being first. You're a mother, your father, your husband, or a wife, or a son, or a daughter. Like, you are someone else. And what people need at this moment in time in that phase is they just need another human being to, to help them, to just feel like there's someone is there to hear them. That's what you can be there for. You can just be there as a good listener. Yeah. The third phase, what you can do then is that then we move into an acceptance. Now, some of you are already there. Some of you know and accepted the fact that we're here in this position. And this is what you alluded to at the beginning, right? If we're still in anxiety and anger, you can't make wise decisions. And I would find some sort of help and support to kind of figure that out, to move towards acceptance. We are in this, whether you like it or not. We have to accept the world is going to be on pause for some extended period of time. And it's important that we need to accept it. Ignoring it, putting your head down, like has some people have, like certain countries have in the last, couple of months, and like, oh, it's not going to happen to us. It's just the flu. Like it's just, I mean, I was like that too. I was in Marrakesh and I was like, yeah, my wife was sending me messages like, it's getting really bad. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like don't worry. It's just the flu. And when I got back to Australia, I'm like, oh damn, like this is real thing. Like, cause I was in Marrakesh, I was in the middle of friggin' Africa, it wasn't really affecting us over there. And then when I got back, I'm like, oh damn. And I was lucky because after a week later, Morocco closed their borders. I almost didn't get out. So it's like, wow, that was fast. It happened really quickly, and this escalated really quickly. So this is why this emotion is really hard for people, because it came so quickly. So let's go back to acceptance. I think the first thing that you need to do, if they're in acceptance, if you've accepted this, then what we need to do is guide you. We need to guide you in some sort of direction. We just need they just need to be led at this point. This is where you guys can step up, right? If they're in acceptance that this is going to be wrong, then this is the way of life. This is the new normal for now. Then what we need to figure out is, how do I guide them? What do they need right now? And how can I guide them based on my expertise and based on who I am as a person and my education background? The next stage is adaptation, right? And so adaptation allows you, because they've adapted. So they accepted this. Now they're going to adapt. So they're going to actually start doing things. Well, then once they start doing something, they most likely need some direction of where to direct this energy, right, towards, because they need some sort of goal or vision. And then that's what's going to help them. That makes it so much easier, because then they're already starting to take action, which is the next step. And when they get into action, all you need to do, because you're already giving them a direction, when they start taking action, all you need to do then is just steer them appropriately. And if you can do that overall and help them respond appropriately, then all of a sudden you just earn trust. And that is the most valuable thing you can do right now. Because when you can earn trust with your patients, that's how you're going to be able to come out of this, right? Because you're trying to build goodwill, right? So the question you should be asking yourself is you should be asking going, well, based on what I can do, because you asked the how. So I'm going to give you some specific things. I mean, obviously I don't know everybody's everybody's situation. So I'm just going to give you some generalized context. Well, I think what you should learn is, how do I connect? How do I communicate? And what do I care for my clients? And there are three types of clients. There are your clients. Those are your VIPs, the people that are been with you for a very long time. Then there are your patients. I classified them differently, because patients are just sort of people who just started your care. They haven't really been your lifelong clients yet, right? And then there's your prospects. These are people that you haven't seen yet. And if you can kind of focus in on these three strategies and going, how do I connect? What do I care about? What do they care about that I can provide? And how do I communicate this to them? Then all of a sudden now you have an opportunity to really provide some valuable information that will help them move them forward towards whatever. They build enough goodwill and build enough trust that when you come out of this thing, you're going to be able to have a practice to start with.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. That's amazing. Because I think a lot of people have everyone in the same category, and it's not a mean or discrediting thing. It's just that there's a reality. Some people you've known longer, some people you've worked with longer.
Absolutely.
And there'll be different levels of relationship with each person that you have.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I think it's what's appropriate is to find the right responses for individual. And I think what most people want is a shortcut. Everybody wants okay, tell me, Laurence, what's the silver bullet? Well, I'm sorry to tell you, there is no silver bullet. There is no one thing. If there was one thing, I'm sure everybody will say, oh, it's telehealth classes. That is one of many solutions that you could do. And in some countries, or for certain people, or even due to their own personality and also your patient's personalities and needs, that may not be the solution. So all I'm suggesting is, I'm not suggesting it's a bad idea, but that's a tactical move. And I've mentioned this in other videos before, is that what we got to be careful of is stop chasing tactics. What you need to figure out is, you got to figure out what's your objective. What are you doing this for? Right? Yeah. For some of you, it's about just building goodwill. For some of you, I need cash flow. Okay, great. It just depends on what your objective is. Choose your objective, so then you can choose the most appropriate strategy. Okay. Then from the strategy, then decide what tactic to action that will help you get closer to the objective. So be very clear on the objective first.
No, thank you. And I've heard you say that before. And the reason I love that is there's a lot of tactics once you get in them, they're long term. And if you don't know why you're in it, or if you actually don't want to be in it,
Absolutely.
you're in trouble. So
Yep.
I love the idea of thinking of the why first before you take your actions. This is history. We are rewriting history right now.
Absolutely. The new, you got to realize that this is the new normal. And in 3 months time, or just call it 3 months, in 3 months time, the world as we know it in the past is no longer going to be the same. Okay. And you have a choice here. You have a choice. All of you have a choice. The choice is this: everybody's in pause, which means like, I think of it like everybody's standing still. And so you have a choice to either move towards something that is going to be ahead of everybody else, or you can just be like everybody else and just go into hibernation. That's a choice. And how you come out of this, it's a dictation of what you do in this period of time. Like, you've just been giving a gift. That's the mindset you need to see. You've been given a gift, right? Because that's the acceptance you have to have. The reality is that you can't go to work or whatever it is. The gift is, what are you going to do with this time? Because previously, I can guarantee you the conversation you had 6 months ago was, yeah, Laurence, like, it would have been great if I can grow this. I can grow my patient list. I could have worked on my system. I could have worked on my website. I could have worked on my brand. I could have done on YouTube videos. I could have done Facebook Lives. I could have learned Facebook ads. All this stuff I could have, shoulda, woulda done, right? But what was the excuse? Well, I didn't know how to. I didn't have enough time, and just like, it was just, I was too busy, right? Those are your excuses. Okay, so what's your excuse now? Right?
Exactly.
You don't have enough time. There's plenty of courses out there, right? And you have all the time in the world to be able to action this. It's what you're going to do with this the next 1 to 3, 6 months. Who knows how long they're going to last for?
No, thank you. That's amazing. Because I think we do get in our lane. People get very narrow-minded about what a chiropractor can do and forget they're a human being. And they have actually multitudes of skills that they can actually implement. And that's what makes them unique. So thank you for highlighting that. So would you say with the different clients, I guess, let's say from Europe, from Australia, from US, is there a different mindset or a different way of looking at how to attack this? Or would you say most people are similar with anxiety and fear?
No, there's definitely different mindsets now. Maybe last week there was, and this changes every 24 hours, by the way. So I want to reframe this. Last week, everybody's in the same mindset because it was pretty much like panic. Okay, what do we need to do? That's one of the things I worked on with my clients last week. Like, it was really just fighting fires and making sure that everybody's protected, and creating a plan that is, and strategic plans. We basically created 3 different plans. Plans is like the best case scenario, the worst case scenario, and the most likely scenario. So I helped them through that last week. So that was all hands on deck. To be honest with you, I probably haven't worked that hard in my life, for that short period of time. But creating a strategic plan is really important. And then now they know what to do and they're ahead of the curve. And so I call it ride the curve, because they, the program that I'm running for them is called Ride the Curve, because I want them to be in front. In order, for people who surf, you understand, like, in order to surf, you actually have to be in front of the wave, not in the wave, right? So we want to be one step ahead. So at the moment, landscape have changed. Like this week, things have changed because countries started splitting. The US, or especially I have clients in New York City right now. It's bad. It's like the epicenter right now. In Seattle, things are slowed down a little bit. In Australia, we're kind of like on a holding pattern. We don't death rates are kind of slowing down, which is great. But who knows? We could kind of go either way here. And so every country is different. And then what we also got to respect is that we also got to respect culture. The Singapore culture is very, very different than Australian culture and very different than North American and Canadian culture. So what we got to respect here is that we got to understand is that I don't want to tell how everybody should be doing. What I think you should be thinking about is always can be cautious in mind of the worldview of your patients and how they perceive you and how they want you to be part of them. All I can say though, what's common to all of you is that the world needs more leaders right now. And the world needs leaders like you to lead them towards something. Because no one's taking action because they don't know what to do. And if you follow the 5 stages of emotions that I showed you before, is that if you can lead them in a way that allows them to move forward, one step forward, even if it's a small little way, that would be really helpful. And if you can kind of think about from a leader perspective, there's 2 different types of leaders, or spectrum anyways. There's introverted leaders and extroverted leaders, right? So, and that's fine. And that's it's just something that you got to think about. But also too, let me just quickly share this if you don't mind.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
A couple of things is that if you can kind of think about this perspective is that there's a spectrum Let me just kind of go with this here. So there's a spectrum of leaders. There's introverted leaders and there's extroverted leaders, but there's also, I believe that there's leaders that want to go deep, and there's like one-on-ones, right? They're better at one-on-ones, and there's community leaders who want to have a tribe, right? So that's one to many. And so it doesn't really matter where you fall, but it just depends depending on where you are in life. And so depending on your personality, some people want to lead, as you know, if you're an extroverted leader, they probably want to be, they want to be the face, right? They want to be the face of that particular group. But if you're not, if you're more introverted, and you want to lead a community, well, you probably you want to have joint ventures, where you have a group of people leading the group. Not just you being the one. You might be the one who organizes everything, but you stand out because you're the linchpin, but still that is very, very helpful. Or you might want to be more into one-on-ones, and, you know, you want to maybe do it, you know, but you're more introverted. So you might make an SMS, for example, and lead from there, or through emails, or maybe a phone call, for example, right? Because that's more aligned with who you are. But if you are more extroverted, but you want to go, you know, extroverted people, but they want to go deep on like Zoom, you know, for example, or like FaceTime, or any of those type of technology where you're actually face-to-face with someone, that's maybe your platform or medium to kind of connect with them. So either way, it doesn't really matter. I'm just sort of showing you a couple of examples of how you can lead at this stage, because at the moment is that your leaders need you. And you just, sorry, not leaders, people need you to lead. Yeah. And so therefore leaders just need to make decisions, and decisive decisions. And you need to provide directions and information that will help them move forward and navigate through this difficult time.
Yeah, thank you. And I think being vulnerable in that we're open to the flexibility and things changing so quickly will actually endear us to patients as well. So I feel sometimes our practitioners, well, they're not perfect, so they don't want to lead. You know what? No one is. Again, we're writing history right now. So just take that one step ahead, so you're a step ahead of them, be the path, be the guidance. And so I love that you shared that. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's what, and this comes down to just the mindset, right? And trust me, I am guilty of this as well. And so, because I think we all have this, we have this guilt that we're not good enough. We all have a voice inside of us that says, hey, who are you to do this? You know, why should you do this? And you're not that good compared to that girl or that person, or, you know, compared, you know, he's not good as, you know, I can't go on video because that person's better than you, and all this stuff, right? But the thing is what you're going to come down to realize is that you don't need to be the next Gary Vee. You don't need to be the next, you know, version of whoever you see yourself looking up to. What you need to do is you just got to recognize is that as long as you're ahead of the people you serve, like if you're, then that's the leadership, right? And the thing is that when you can figure that out, is that they're following you because of you. They're not following you because like you have some great Instagram follower or whatever. Like, we don't need to be the influencers. What we need to do is just influence the tribe that we actually have. And you've already spent all these years, especially for people who've been in business for a long time, you spend all these years kind of really connecting with all these patients. Do something with that. They followed you for a reason. Connect with them as a human being, and ask them what they need. And there's plenty of ideas out there. And, you know, that's what we've been strategizing a lot, is that there's plenty of ideas to help you execute how to do that. But what I wanted to kind of show you is like, what do we need to? The main thing is you need to learn to connect, communicate, and care for your patients right now.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Awesome. So we've come to the end of our time. Is there any sort of last thoughts or strategies that you want to share? Maybe some resources you want to direct people towards?
Yeah, listen, like I'll throw in a lot of frameworks in here. And the reason why frameworks works is because everybody's different. My style of guiding people with my clients is that everybody's an individual, and I'm not a practice management company where like, hey, you just got to do this, follow this method and everything will work. I think that's BS, because not everybody's exactly like me. I don't want you to be another version of me. I want you to be a version of yourself. So I have something called align and amplify. And so this concept will be helpful, because you want to basically first align your practice and your messaging and your communication to the person that you are. What I just showed you, introverts, extroverts, all that stuff, right? So you need to align yourself to that, the way of thinking. And then once you align, all of a sudden you're going to resonate at a certain frequency. You know, let's just say we resonate at 33 hertz. Well, then we have an opportunity to amplify that at 33 hertz, which means we build marketing processes to go, hey, broadcast this 33 hertz message, right? Right. So then all of a sudden the people who resonate at 33 hertz, maybe at 32 and 34, they will hear you, right? Loud and clear. 33 will hear you loud and clear. 33, 32 and 34 will kind of like, oh, like, what is that? And then anybody who's like at 70 hertz won't even know you exist. And that's a good thing. That's a
Yeah.
good thing. And so that's what align and amplify means, is that, you know, for me, it's about how to help you build your practice and your messaging and your communication that resonates with you, and then learn how to amplify it. And when you can do that, when you can actually start to do that, it will change your entire life and change your practice. So my suggestion is, like, it's great that you're observing all this information that's around the world that's been given to you, you know, right now. But what I would be really strongly suggest is that what I mentioned before is that be careful about just activating everything. What I would suggest is to have a think about, does this resonate with me? If it does resonate with me, then figure a way out how to actually do that. And if you want to learn how to implement it, then give me a shout. I'm at laurencetam.com, or another easier site is probably Coach with LT, Laurence Tham, or coachwithlt.com. Or you can just message me on Facebook, join my Chiral Think Tank Facebook group. Like, there's plenty of ways. You can find me everywhere. So, you know, if you want to connect with me personally, I'm happy to help any way I can.
Yeah. Well, and as on a personal note, for all of you watching, I literally just messaged Laurence a couple of days ago, and I thought I would have to wait like a month to be able to speak with him. He's like, no, it's relevant now. Let's get on the call. So
yeah, like, I was
yeah,
like, May, like that May could be all over by the, well, it's probably not, but I mean, I want to like let's just get this message out there now. Cause I think right now there's a sense of urgency that we all need to kind of take. Right. And I don't care what stage or phase of isolation you're in at the moment, but the urgency isn't about what the government is doing. Okay. I think what we need to is stop ignoring that, because you have no control. You have no control how fast the virus is going to spread. You have no control what the government's going to do of the lockdowns and when you're going to allow to go back to work or not work. You have no control what stimulus packages you're going to get, no matter what country you're in right now. You have no idea how, you know, what the banks are going to do, all the stuff. What you can do is you need to control the things you can control. Yes. And the things you can control is how you react and how you behave, how you react to the situation. So that's the mindset you alluded to right at the beginning. You know, what actions you're going to take on a day-to-day basis. Right. And so what I would suggest there is the number one is that you need to get your mind straight every single day, because I guarantee you're going to have some ups and downs. You might come out as like, oh, I'm excited. And then like tomorrow you might crash. That's okay. Like, be gentle with yourself. I've gone through that up and down. Like, it's been a hell of a couple of weeks. Right. But you got to have, make sure your mindset is right. Like, I know that within my clients. So, you know, who do I have? Like, obviously they have me, but, I actually got my coach in there who's coached like 45 different Olympians or champions and stuff, and, you know, world-class athletes. He's in there. He's teaching my clients there. Next week we have someone who's a four-time bestseller and, you know, been on Oprah several times to come and talk to my clients. Why? Because I know they need it up here. Because as strong as we are and as strong as of a plan we have, the mindset is such an important aspect, and we need to reset that on a regular basis. So I would definitely recommend getting some of your mindset screwed on right every day. Second thing I would love to make sure you do is have some ritual of some sort. If you're working from home, you're probably never used to it. I've been working remotely for 6 years. So I kind of understand. I'm used to this, but for some of you, I forget, like, oh yeah, this is the first time you ever worked from home for that long period of time. So if that's the case, figure out a ritual. Don't forget your exercises. Don't forget your meditations or whatever you need to do. And then thirdly, I'll leave this with pivot plans, S with an S on it, plans. You need to pivot plans, which means that you need to go, here's 1, 2, 3 plans. And then I need to learn how to pivot from one to the other. Right? You got to be able to switch on a dime, because if you don't, you're going to get stuck. This is not a time where 3 weeks ago, where you can have one plan and maybe it'll work. This is like, you got to have multiple plans, and you got to ready to jump ship and let one go and go to the next one if you need to within a 24-hour period of time. Yeah,
today is not the time to be stubborn, for sure, and to stick to one thing. Oh, that's wow. Right. Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to drop all of your info below, so of course everyone can connect with you. And I will try, because there's so much information, to summarize that in a very cute little cheat sheet, but we'll see how we go with that. But again, thank you so much for joining us today. You guys, you've got Singapore, you've got Australia, and of course, I know some of you are watching from Canada and the Netherlands. So it's amazing. We're all over the world right now. Awesome.
Well,
have a great day.
Want to connect, thank you for doing what you're doing, because I think the people need you, and it's great that you're stepped up and to be able to create this. So thank you very much for having me on.
Yeah, thanks so much. All right, guys, take care. Until next time. See you.
Appreciate it. See ya.